What's going on, guys? Welcome back to Two Film Buffs, and today I'm going to break down the opening scene from Inglourious Basterds. Straight off the bat it says 1941. That puts us into a time era of World War II, which then goes into a shot of a French farmer chopping wood. We then have this shot of this young French lady pressing out a white sheet, showing that it's clean and pure. She removes the white sheet and it unveils a car approaching them. So straight off the bat we can see that the French farmer is worried by telling his young daughters to go back inside and shut the door. If you know anything about World War II, at this point you can only really assume that the Nazis are coming and he is hiding some Jewish people in his house. As the Nazis are approaching closer and closer, you can see that the farmer is getting a little bit nervous and he tells his daughter to go in the house and get ready. So his daughter tells him that he's ready, which then tells us, the audience, that they were kind of preparing for something. And then in the next shot you can see that the Nazis are even closer and the farmer starts walking towards his house. So in this shot here it tells us quite a few things. Basically shows that the French farmer is outnumbered because there are at least 3 Nazi soldiers and 1 colonel. Obviously the colonel sitting in the back of the car. Basically shows us from the get-go that the colonel is an important man and he should be feared and respected. Another key thing to point out here is the cows in the background, obviously showing us that the farmer is a dairy farmer.
Est-ce la propriété de Perrier-Lapadite?
Again, straight away we kind of understand who this man is by him being multilingual and addressing the man in French.
Je suis Perrier-Lapadite.
Contre Monsieur Lapadite?
So Colonel Hans Landa approaches the farmer with his hand out to show a friendly gesture. In some sort of weird way, it's kind of humanizing the Nazi party.
Je suis le colonel SS Hans Landa.
Que puis-je faire pour vous?
J'espérais que vous m'invitez.
So what is obvious here is Hans Landa is here to talk to the farmer about Jewish people in hiding in France. But one thing that might not be so clear is how long he actually holds onto that handshake. And obviously I can't show the full clip here, but he holds onto this handshake for about 12 seconds whilst maintaining eye contact and talking to him.
Terrier à entrer chez vous afin que nous puissions avoir une discussion?
Certainement. Après vous.
So here we can see the farmer actually breaks the hand grip, and then straight away Hans Landa pops his hand over his arm straight away, maintaining a type of contact and type of maintaining a kind of control. Now before I move on, I'd like to talk about the color grading of this scene. Obviously, as I can show you here, it is broken down in between light, medium, dark and the general spectrum. So first of all, the lights are coming from the right side of the screen where the French farmer is. The mediums are obviously set in kind of the background of the screen, and the darks are kind of set where Hans Landa is. And personally, I would call the general spectrum of the colours type of army/war colours, to obviously fit somewhat with the theme of the movie and the scene. But why are these colours lit like this? Obviously because it is showing that the French farmer is from the good side, which is showing the light, and Hans Landa being from the Nazis, showing the bad side, showing dark colours. Now a lot of people don't even notice this, but your brain actually does, and it does register to you who is good and who is bad.
Colonel Landa, voici ma famille.
Colonel SS Hans Landa, mademoiselle, à votre service. Les rumeurs qui circulent dans le village au sujet de votre famille sont tout à fait fondées.
So as you can see here, Colonel Landa comes in with a friendly approach, saying mademoiselle and kissing her hand to kind of make her feel a little bit more comfortable, and then throws an interesting line. The rumors I've heard in the village about your family are true. Now this can be said for a few things. He's obviously pretty much saying that yes, your daughters are beautiful, but what other rumors has he heard about this French family? So in this next shot, Hans Landa has asked the farmer for some milk, as he is a dairy farmer. But one thing you may not have noticed from this shot is the trapped feeling. And what I mean by that is, if you look at the screen, Hans Landa is captured in the light, basically showing that he is free, and now it looks like the dairy farmer is trapped behind bars, obviously showing the staircase covering him, but it looks like he is encaptured by the SS colonel.
Are you aware of the nickname the people of France have given me?
This is pretty much Hans Landa's way of saying, do you know who I am? Which is obviously a power play move.
Do you know who I am? I do.
I have no interest in such things.
But you're aware of what they call me.
I'm aware.
What are you aware of?
That they call you the Jew hunter.
Now obviously getting the farmer to say his name back to him instills a type of fear and really cements why Hans Landa is there. It is also another power play move by showing the notoriety of his name. For example, in Snatch, if Bricktop come into the room and just said, "I'm Bricktop," it wouldn't have had anywhere near the impact of what it had of him saying,
Do you know who I am?
Precisely. I understand your trepidation in repeating it. Heydrich apparently hates the moniker the good people of Prague have bestowed on him. Why he would hate the name the Hangman's baffling to me. It would appear he's done everything in his power to earn it. I, on the other hand, love my unofficial title.
Again, this whole speech just helps humanize Hans Landa. Also, something you may not have noticed is the usage of milk in this, and also the usage of milk with bad characters.
Milk?
Throughout cinema, evil and bad characters have often been seen drinking milk, which in a weird way brings an innocence to the adult characters who are bad/evil. Because we usually associate milk with children and what children drink, and seeing an adult drinking it kind of just makes us feel a bit uneasy.
The feature that makes me such an effective hunter of the Jews is I can think like a Jew, where they can only think like a German. More precisely, a German soldier.
Now again, this is another attempt to humanize himself for the French farmer by talking about German soldiers as if he isn't one himself, or in fact that he is different. And as we can see here, finally the reveal that he is in fact hiding Jewish people underneath his floorboards, which in a weird way highlights the fact that Hans Landa has the power because he knows he is right and he is correct.
Now, if one were to determine what attribute the German people share with a beast, it would be the cunning and the predatory instinct of a hawk. But if one were to determine what attributes the Jews share with the beast, it would be that of the rat. The Führer and Goebbels propaganda have said pretty much the same thing, but where our conclusions differ is I don't consider the comparison an insult.
Now looking at this shot, it tells us a few things. You can see Hans Landa is the focal point of the shot. Obviously in frame very well, beautifully shot. But if we look at the lighting in here, the lighting is shone on the table, kind of basically showing like an interrogation scene, obviously highlighting the milk and his SS hat.
Consider for a moment the world a rat lives in. It's a hostile world indeed. If a rat were to scamper through your front door right now, would you greet it with hostility?
I suppose I would.
Has a rat ever done anything to you to create this animosity you feel toward them?
Rats spread disease.
Propose to you any disease a rat could spread, a squirrel could equally carry. Yet I assume you don't share the same animosity with squirrels that you do with rats, do you?
No.
Yet they're both rodents, are they not? For the tail, they even rather look alike, don't they?
It's an interesting thought.
However interesting as the thought may be, it makes not one bit of difference to how you feel. If a rat were to walk in here right now as I'm talking, greet it with a source of your delicious milk?
Probably not.
I didn't think so. You don't like them. You don't really know why you don't like them. All you know is you find them repulsive.
So some amazing things to break down here, not just the amazing script from Quentin Tarantino, which is just obviously him talking and riffing about a subject, which I love about his work, but Hans Landa is using the analogy of Hitler and the German SS soldiers hating on the Jews, just like how we refer to rats to be vermin but squirrels to be nice and cuddly little cute things. Yet as he says, the reason that people don't really like rats is because they spread diseases and bite people, yet the same diseases that a rat could spread, easily the same a squirrel could do. Which is basically a massive analogy of why Hitler hated the Jewish people so much, and he looked at them to be vermin and lesser people, which is obviously a very messed up analogy in the real world, but it is kind of what Hitler did force upon his people. And by doing this, it is humanizing the situation of what Hans Landa is addressing to the French farmer. Also, you may not have noticed the angle of this shot. It looks like it's coming from the floorboards, which is basically showing the perspective of the Jewish people hiding underneath it, looking up and kind of feeling small, feeling down, feeling below the main characters of the scene. Again, whether you recognize this or not, your brain does register this to make you feel smaller and to make the main characters somewhat larger than life, in control of the situation.
Consequently, a German soldier conducts a search of a house suspected of hiding Jews. Where does the hawk look? Barn, he looks in the attic, he looks in a cellar, he looks everywhere he would hide. So many places it would never occur to a hawk to hide. The reason the Führers brought me off my Alps in Austria, because it does occur to me, because I'm aware what tremendous feats human beings are capable of once they abandon dignity. May I smoke my pipe as well?
Yourself at home.
Now, my job dictates my men enter your home and conduct a thorough search before I can officially cross your family's name off my list.
Now quickly before I move on, there's a few things that happen with this shot here. Number one, him pulling out a bigger pipe than the French farmer obviously is an acronym for I have a bigger one than you. It shows power, it shows dominance, it shows who's in control of the room. Yes, the French farmer gave permission for him to be comfortable like he was in his own house. But I feel Hans Landa has already done this and has taken over the house. The camera is also flipped onto the other side of the table, somewhat showing that the tables have now turned. The final thing I want to address in this shot is the color grading of the scene. So as you can see from this diagram, the colors go from a very dark blue, almost a black, all the way through into the middle where you have your white, which is the milk and the focal point of the light coming in from the window, all the way to the browns of what the French farmer is wearing and the lighting that is kind of shining on him. It also shows the power dynamic of the SS soldier wearing a royal blue and having a very bright pipe, as opposed to the farmer who's in very tainted and dark and dreary clothes, because he is a farmer and his pipe isn't as extravagant. The main source of white, which is obviously going to be what we know as the good, is coming from the milk and the light.
And if there are any irregularities to be found, rest assured there will be.
Again, another power play. Everything about this scene is about power.
That is unless you have something to tell me that makes the conducting of a search unnecessary. Any information that makes the performance of my duty easier will not be met with punishment. Actually, quite the contrary. It will be met with reward.
So at this point, the camera is kind of framing Hans Landa in a much more secure way, kind of making you feel like you can trust him. And he is pretty much saying to the farmer, if you tell me what I want to know, you're not going to be in trouble. In fact, you're going to be rewarded for telling me where the Jewish people are.
And that reward will be your family will cease to be harassed in any way by the German military.
And then comes one of Hans Landa's best lines in the movie.
You're sheltering enemies of the state, are you not?
Yes.
You're sheltering them underneath your floorboards, aren't you?
Such an amazing line there, and it just clarifies that he knew that they were in that house under the floorboards the whole time.
The whole time you would... The whole time!
Yes.
Point out to me the areas where they're hiding.
And then finally, the French farmer sheds a tear and points towards where the Jewish people are hiding underneath his house. For me, Inglourious Basterds is one of Quentin Tarantino's best pieces of work, and this is one of his best scenes. The stuff that Quentin does perfectly is creating action scenes inside the script, and it is what is important and what a lot of filmmakers do not get right. And it is definitely one of Christoph Waltz, who played Hans Landa's, best work, and he is a tremendous actor, I know, but this role just fit him perfectly. But that's what we got time for today. Don't forget to catch us next time where I'm going to break down a whole nother scene just for you guys so you can learn along with me. Don't forget to like, comment and subscribe, and we'll see you next time.